Hi Pisces, welcome to your October 2021 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So October is a time when the sun is in Libra for most of the month. And for you, Libra is the 8th house. And this is this house that Scorpio rules in the universal chart and is a water house like your 12th house that you rule. And I think that Pisces has this down pat because you you are kind of familiar with some of the themes that the eighth house represents, because it's similar in certain ways to the 12th house. The eighth house is the place of transformation. Now, death is a big theme of the eighth house. So the death of the old, transformation, I mean, it can be physical death, but it's obviously much, much more than that. And the 12th house has the connection to past lives. Both of these houses have kind of supernatural connections. Definitely house is associated with, I would say, like the 8th house, the occult, the 12th house, reincarnation or past lives and things, karma in general. So there's a lot, the unconscious mind for Pisces, the 12th house, or even the subconscious mind. That's what the 8th house is really associated with. So I think that you can deal with, and trauma. Trauma is another big part of this area. But another, and I think Pisces is I was going to say Pisces is an expert on trauma, but I don't mean it like that. I mean that you're an old soul. You're the last sign of the zodiac. So you don't come into this world expecting everything to be sweetness and light. Although it is kind of funny about Pisces is that, in a sense, you want it that way, because Neptune, your ruler, is very into that fantasy or that ideal. And so you do seek out anything that gives you that sense of unicorns and rainbows and, just Shangri-La. But at the same time, you're not like surprised if life turns out to be a shit show. How else can I put this mildly? I'm saying this as somebody with Saturn and Pisces, okay? So the point is that I think that you understand what the eighth house is all about. You have the sun here, so maybe you are dealing with issues surrounding this. Maybe you are even training for something that is metaphysical, like astrology, tarot. All of these things come naturally to a Pisces individual. I mean, you're straight up psychic. You probably don't even need, you're probably the kind of person, when you like have if you have a tarot deck and you pull cards, that you just impose on the cards your own psychic visions. And you're not even necessarily going by the definitions of the cards. So, that comes naturally to you. But sometimes Pisces people, they kind of they kind of go like against the grain of who they really are, because they're kind of fighting it. Maybe earlier on in life, they didn't get supported for their psychic tendencies in one way or the other. They were made to feel like there was something wrong with them, whatever. And they go the straight route, if you will. And at some point, you may realize that you can't help but be a healer, And even if you become a nurse instead of a Reiki master, I think it will eventually find you if it's meant to find you. So you have Mercury retrograde in this area until the 18th of October. And Mercury retrograde in the eighth house is pretty wild, because Mercury in the eighth house, actually, one thing I didn't say about the eighth house is that it can also be shared resources. And this may be how it's manifesting for you, is if you have any kind of money that is not just your money that you are trying to negotiate. So whether you're getting divorced, inheritance is a big part of the eighth house, death plus other people's money. And Mercury retrograde here can be a second will comes into the picture that you didn't know about. And actually, it's very interesting because there is a new moon here on the 6th of October. And so that could be like some new development with this money or this will or something, like you find a new will that was done after the one that you thought was the will. And this is one of those things when we talk about trauma and the shadow as part of the eighth house, that it can really come up for you. The disillusionment, yeah, I think that's one thing with Pisces, is that you can get disillusioned by the crassness of other people who are not coming from a spiritual perspective, but are coming from a materialistic perspective. Yes, there are Pisces people who may be excessively concerned about money. Maybe they have their sun in the second house. Maybe they have the moon in Taurus, or who knows, something like that. Or even if it's security based, they have, I don't know, the moon in the second, the moon in Cancer, something like that. And they're just very like, I have to feather my nest and all that. Even, there are certain people that when money comes into the picture, they turn very ugly. And that can be very sad for you because, first of all, because you may not have seen that side of them. And then on top of that, most Pisces people are otherworldly. They are not materialists. And they can actually be quite, you can be quite gullible about money because you want to help people and you're sacrificing yourself. And so if somebody gives you a sob story, you may believe them. And meanwhile, they're going, I knew that person was an easy mark. I knew I could get to them with this sob story. But something, I just want to tell you that when I say sob story, I don't mean that there's something wrong with you, because there's nothing wrong with having a legitimate impulse to help someone. It's a beautiful thing, actually. And even if you were to get swindled out of money, that doesn't say anything about you. It's just money, and it's just part of this world. It's not the end all be all. And those other people are the ones that have to find that out. So if you're dealing with anything that has to do with a will, that is, if Mercury's retrograding, that would mean that it's screwed up somehow. There's confusion about it. Or if you're getting divorced and it's like the War of the Roses, you don't have to participate. You can stay above the fray. Even, at the same time, sometimes we do have to stand up for our rights. Sometimes there are people, it could be a sibling, it could be a stepmother or a stepfather. I shouldn't just pick on the stepmothers. It could be some person who is trying to, who always is trying to gain the upper hand. And sometimes they need to be smacked down. And I mean that not literally, even if you may feel like it. I mean, by saying, no, not this time. You're not going to intimidate me, and I'm going to do what I have to do. And but there are times when it's not worth it, when it's just going to cost you your peace of mind. Maybe the amount of money isn't that much, and you have to associate with these people when you could just walk away and you could just have your peace of mind. So it's going to depend from person to person how this plays out. Some of you may be rethinking some kind of program that you have joined that has a metaphysical theme. Maybe it's not deep enough for you. Maybe it's not what you really feel you're looking for. The eighth house I would associate with magic. I think I read that somewhere. And, so paganism might come into the picture, but you may not be feeling that. And you might have thought that was what you wanted, but it was really something else. So those kinds of things may be. This is like if you do have mediumistic abilities, if you can be regressed, Mercury retrograde to me would be a great thing for regression or hypnosis to channel and things like that. Of course, you have to know what you're doing and know what you're getting into, because that's one of those things that I don't think is just completely, without any risks. I think a lot of these things that we dabble in, we have to really be have complete awareness of what we're doing. So anyway, I'm just saying that because I don't want to make it seem like, oh yeah, I'm telling you to do that. On the same day that there is a new moon in Libra, there is Pluto turning direct in Capricorn. Now, this is interesting because Pluto has been in your 11th house, which can involve, this is really good for Pisces. I wonder how many of you have felt that the last few years have actually been good for you, because you've had Sagittarius energy in the 10th house of career, and Pluto in Capricorn for the last, dozen years. And of course, that's going to vary from person to person, but I'm just saying that's how long it's been in the sign of Capricorn. And this is a house of gains, which can be, financial gains from your career. Now, the important thing to note about that is that Pluto can be wealth. So you had, Jupiter in Sagittarius, Saturn in Sagittarius in that 10th. And this can be very good for you as far as that goes. And that can mean that we're getting back on track on the physical level as it pertains to whatever this influence has been in this house. Another thing that can happen too with Pluto in the 11th is you can gain powerful friendships. You can make those connections, maybe not close friends, but maybe a network of people that, if they have connections, they can help you to get ahead as well. When Pluto was retrograding, there may have been this deconstruction of within yourself about how do you give away your power when you are with others, because Pluto, Pisces, you have to always stand in your sovereignty, be an individual, even when you are with other people. And one of the things that happens because you're a mutable water sign is that you're very impressionable. They did that experiment with water, and they could program the water. And I'm not saying that you're a complete bot and that somebody can program you, but you're very receptive, okay? You take in what the influences around you. So you have to be very discerning about what you take in. I mean, even like listening to an astrologer like me, or listening to, a tarot reader, watching the news, anything that you do be discriminating. Make sure that it resonates. If it doesn't feel good, then don't continue to do it, because it obviously doesn't resonate. It's causing, bad feelings. Maybe you've had some kind of experience that has made you realize that. And one of the things that can come about, I even think sometimes Pluto in the 11th can be like a charismatic cult type of leader. And yes, I usually think of religion or things like that, or a spiritual leader or something like that. That might be more the ninth house, although any kind of a group situation, you can find it there. But yeah, any kind of a person who puts themselves out there as some kind of an expert, or has followers, and people just give up their sense of themselves for that person. Yeah, I think that is a lesson well learned. So now Pluto's direct, and maybe you'll see more of those gains on a material level. On the 7th, Venus goes into Sag. So Venus in your 10th house, what's not to like about that? Could be a raise. It could be making more money in your career. Could be favor from authority figures. So that could figure into your professional life. You could find love through your profession. You are popular with the public. On the 10th, Saturn goes direct, 6 degrees of Aquarius. And on the 18th, Jupiter goes direct at 22 degrees of Aquarius. So here we have two planets in Aquarius at the moment. Both were retrograding for months in that 12th house. And Jupiter was briefly in your sign as well. So now, the 12th house is your house. So again, just like I said about the 8th house in Scorpio, I feel like Pisces people handle the 12th house very well, because it's your house and you get what it stands for. It doesn't scare you, and it is what you're all about. So basically, how this can play out is that you can feel this sense of wanting to be in order as it relates to your spiritual life. Saturn in the 12th house is sometimes characterized, I've seen it characterized as a dark night of the soul. And of course, that sounds absolutely terrifying, doesn't it? Who would want something like that? And yet, people who have gone through that can attest to the fact that it breaks you wide open, but it's a spiritual awakening. And it's actually a liberation. But suffice it to say, it is an absolutely painful, frightening experience. And it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. But here's the deal. That doesn't mean that that's how it has to be. This is, even astrologers, even people who decide what each house placement or transit means, they still can be coming from a worldly perspective overall, where Venus is good and Jupiter is good, and having transits is good there, and that's bad if you have a transit of Pluto through a house, or a transit through Saturn or Mars or something like that. And actually, Saturn in the 12th house can make you disciplined about your spiritual path. And that can actually prevent a spiritual crisis, or a crisis in general. Just like if you have Saturn in the opposite house, the 6th house, what will they say? They will say, oh, you're going to have this health issue that's going to create some kind of an obstacle for you. when in fact you could be interpreting it as you're going to be more disciplined to take care of your health. It's all in the way you frame things. So you can be more disciplined about your spiritual life. And Pisces people may feel like, why do I have to be disciplined about anything? But why do I have to be disciplined about my spiritual life? I just am spiritual. And I mean, I kind of understand that. But, as a water sign, learning to be detached through meditation, and maybe a certain type of meditation. If you do hatha yoga, maybe do sitting meditation as well, can help you to have a bit of distance between you and your emotions so that you're not approaching life from a subjective point of view, because it makes it harder to make decisions. Everything is taken to heart, and that can be very exhausting. So just trying to put in a different way. And while, I mean, you may have slacked off on something, and maybe it's been good in a sense because you haven't been, tested by Saturn for the last few months. Maybe you've been given a little bit of a break or a vacation, but now, get back on the horse again. And Jupiter here, now Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces, so it has an affinity for the 12th. And Jupiter here can give you that spiritual teacher, that spiritual, those spiritual blessings, those karmic blessings. When it's been retrograde, it may have been going within, like, what is my philosophical belief system as it pertains to the spiritual, but I would say on a daily basis. So almost like in a more practical sense, because, sometimes I've been getting into this galactic stuff and all that, but I still, get back to the nitty gritty, which is like, how does this benefit me from a day-by-day basis, day-to-day basis? How is this really benefiting me? It's science fiction-y, it's really cool, it's interesting, but how does it really benefit me? Because I'm here in this world. Maybe a part of me is in the sixth dimension, I don't know, but I'm right here. So that might be something that has been coming up for you. Now Jupiter's direct, so you can see more of those direct benefits. On the same day as Jupiter goes direct, Mercury goes direct in that 8th house. So you see that connection, the 8th and the 12th house. So perhaps something gets ironed out with this money situation with other people. Maybe there's an agreement that you can sign. Maybe there's some kind of resolution there. And even your own belief, what it is that you are interested in searching. Maybe you've been researching. Mercury retrograde and the 8th house are both times for research. And now you've got what you need. On the 20th, we have a full moon at 27 degrees of Aries. So that is your second house, cha-ching. I mean, a full moon here could give you a boost to your income. For some people, maybe you're retiring and you're like getting your golden parachute, or you're leaving a job and you're getting whatever they give you, and your 401k, you're taking your 401k and your ball and you're going home. But this is something is coming to fruition with the money that you earn. So this is a good, it's interesting. I think money is going to feature in Venus in the 10th, Pluto going direct in the 11th, full moon in the 2nd, and the 8th house activity. On the 23rd, the sun goes into fellow water sign Scorpio. This is the water sign behind you, so it's going to be the 9th house. On the 30th, Mars goes into that 9th house. You may get this desire to travel. Maybe you have the money to do that. Maybe this has always been a plan of yours, Pisces, and the shutdown made those plans have to be delayed. There will be a new moon in this area in early November, so maybe that's when you're shooting for actually taking your trip. This can also be connected to, again, this is a house of religion. So you may be actually getting some kind of, you may be going into some kind of a study program. Just like I said with the 8th house, the 8th and the 9th houses, both can be God houses, but the 8th house is more of the occult. It's more open-ended in terms of metaphysics. The 9th house, to me, is more of an organized religion, but it's important to note that all organized religions are not created equally. Some of them are more open-ended and, like Taoism or even Buddhism. There's like a sense of inquiry, even, and even the Western religions that are, they have their own mystical versions of them, and they might still have organization and all of that. But they still have, like, the Kabbalah for Judaism, and Gnosticism, Christianity, and the Sufism for Islam. So yeah, or maybe you're starting to be a yoga teacher and you're going to be traveling for that as well. Mars is giving you the itchy feet, if you will. So that's what I have for you, Pisces. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I'm promoting my double readings because they are like a sale, because they're specially priced. They're 2 full-length readings for a discounted price. And I have 2 double readings. If you like the tarot, I have a natal chart interpretation with that one called The Whole Enchilada, and I have a double chart reading, transits and analysis, and that one is called the Deep Dive reading. So you can find out more information about all my readings at the link below. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.